Well, this week marks 1 month since the Sunshine Wildland Fire started, burning just north of Boulder. Boulder's Office of Emergency Management says it started as a structure fire at a home on Sunshine Canyon Drive, and then it spread very quickly. 9 News reporter Jaleesa Irizarry is following the story for us this morning. And Jaleesa, you actually had a chance to speak to one of the families that sadly lost their home.
Yeah, Jordan, Corey, while this family is thankful to be alive weeks later, they are still trying to get back on their feet. Now, Lisa Lauren tells me her partner had spent the last few months fixing up a cabin on her friend's property. They were just 2 days away from moving in when the fire destroyed the cabin as well as her friend's home. Lauren says except for some clothes, they lost everything. No one was physically hurt by the fire, but Lauren still aches over what she couldn't complete just before it started.
When the fire broke out, I was down the hill at a friend's house, trying desperately to get renter's insurance for the property that we were going to move into in 2 days. And as you know, for the last month before, I was getting refused because they wouldn't cover us. There wasn't adequate fire fighting capacity in the area.
No renter's insurance means financially they're not getting reimbursed for all that they lost. Despite that, Lawrence says people have been very generous, providing them with temporary housing and raising funds to replace some of the things they lost. They say they are thankful for all the help the community has given them. Corey.
Yeah, Jaleesa, you know, and one thing that we know that's happened is some of them have been traumatized, even convincing them they should live elsewhere.
Yeah, you know, that is one thing that Lisa said. Her son is struggling through all of this, and because of that, he no longer wants to live in the mountains. He wants to be in a more centrally located place where firefighters can get to them quickly.
That is understandable, but also a bummer. All right, Jaleesa, thank you.
Attorneys believe that a husband and wife who've been in prison for more than a decade are innocent. Now they want the district attorney in El Paso County to take another look at the case. A house fire in 2003 killed 3 of their children. Prosecutors argued the fire was set on purpose. Now, news reporter Kelly Rinke spoke to a lawyer who thinks no crime was ever committed.
3 kids died in a house fire in Colorado Springs in 2003. Their parents have spent over a decade behind bars for their deaths. Now attorneys think the evidence against them was junk.
I don't believe a crime occurred. You know, this is a case where it was a house fire, and the prosecution alleged that was an intentional setting of a fire.
Janine McCabe represents Deborah Nichols, who's serving a life sentence. Nichols wasn't home when the fire started. Prosecutors back then argued she planned the fire with her husband, Tim Nichols, to collect insurance.
Quite frankly, when we have the experts review it today, they say, you know what, there's really no evidence to say that this was an intentional fire started by an accelerant.
McCabe found experts through the Corey Wise Innocence Project at CU Law School. After testing the original samples in 2003, they say they didn't see any reliable evidence of flammable liquids.
This is very easily a house fire that was started by candles that were lit. Deb Nichols thought she had blown all of them out.
Some lawyers hope the district attorney takes another look at the science. McCabe believes it shows the tragedy was a terrible accident and not a murder.
There are advances in fire science that happen, and it's been 20 years.
Attorneys are seeking to exonerate both the husband and wife. McCabe says the district attorney asked for an additional 6 months to review the motion. That time frame will end in June.
People in Aurora will vote on who should be their next mayor later this year. We now know Republican Mayor Mike Kaufman will be facing a challenge from one of his fellow city council members. Democratic Socialist Juan Marcano announced he will run for mayor this year. Marcano and Kaufman regularly clash at council meetings. When Kaufman announced his plan for a campus of resources for people experiencing homelessness, Marcano brought up more than a dozen amendments. Marcano says he is running to put working families first. The election for Aurora mayor is in November. People in Denver will vote in an extremely crowded mayoral race that is scheduled for this April.
One of the Aurora Police Department's newest hires is an officer involved in a deadly shooting in Glendale. The Denver District Attorney ruled the shooting justified, but it still led to a settlement. Chandler Phillips is one of 3 recent transfers to the Aurora Police Department. Back in October 2020, he and another officer shot and killed John Pacheco. He was slumped over in his car at Colorado and Alameda. The officers tried to wake him up. Then they say Pacheco accelerated toward them. Phillips fired 12 times. Pacheco died. Denver DA Beth McCann McCann decided Phillips would not face criminal charges because he said he thought another officer was in danger. Glendale police settled with the family back in August, though the dollar amount is confidential. The department told us he resigned in October to take the job in Aurora. The Aurora Police Department is short on officers. Over the summer, Aurora's Civil Service Commission agreed to change some rules to allow APD to hire officers with less police experience, meant to give them more options.
Today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and the city of Denver plans to mark the day with its yearly parade. That's a March Plus parade. The city has been doing this for the past 38 years now. And other than celebrations in MLK's birthplace in Atlanta, the parade is the largest MLK celebration in the country, with about 60,000 people attending each year. The parade celebrations will start at 9:30 this morning at the MLK statue in City Park. The route will go down Colfax all the way to Civic Center Park. In honor of MLK Jr., today the National Park Service is not charging for entry at national parks. It is one of 5 days this year that NPS is going to be waiving that entry fee. And in Boston, a statue that has been in the works for 5 years now was revealed to the public. This is the Embrace statue honoring MLK and his wife, Coretta Scott King, at the spot where they had their first date. It is inspired by a photo of Dr. King hugging his wife after winning the Nobel Peace Prize.